Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing well, bro.
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for coming on and joining, and really glad to have you on today. You're one of my longest friends, family that I've known forever, and trusted advisor, and really want to share with the world what you have to say and your insights. You bring so much wealth, so much knowledge, so much positive energy. I think it's time to get you out there. So
No,
glad
thank
to
you.
have
Thank
you
you.
on.
No, thank you for the time. And, I love working with you all the time. It's just always like we're always just chatting anyway, just bouncing off ideas. So it's always great to kind of record this and get it memorialized for us. So it's nice.
No, this is fantastic. So, one of the things, I've always had chats with people, whether, I'm advising or even when you're talking to folks, is we're always asking, how come folks aren't leveraging all the resources they either know they have or they don't know they have? There's reasons, right? So
Right.
I wanted to get your input on this and kind of your mindset and thoughts on this, because, when you're talking to these same or similar people around the world, you're always going through this and we're always having these conversations. So I wanted to get your feedback and thoughts on this and just generally what you think.
Yeah, yeah. So I think like the biggest thing is a lot of people go out and they try to look for resources outside of their circumference of influence, and it's really interesting because most of the people that you want to connect with that are experts in certain fields or industries are like right in your back door. Someone you grew up with, someone that's your neighbor, someone that is a friend of a friend, and the only reason why we don't know is because we just don't ask questions. I think that, a lot of times I think when I was younger, I was always like, oh, I need to find a mentor to, guide me and do this in business or whatever field that I'm interested in. And, it just kind of falls flat because you're looking for something, hoping that someone's going to give you something for nothing, like you literally going to someone and say, hey, I'm, you know, this person and I want to be just like you, please give me as much information as you can, when really like the person right next to you that's a good friend of yours who you've known for so long is secretly doing it behind your back and you don't even know because you just never asked or were that inquisitive about their life. And sometimes it's also kind of a pride thing. We don't want to go out and put ourselves on a limb and kind of give, be a little bit embarrassed about what we want to do. And we kind of hide those goals from each other sometimes. That I think that the reason why we don't ask is because we don't want to show that we failed at something before we even start. So that's probably the main reasons I think that, a lot of people don't want to ask for help, which is, I think that we have to start doing that more.
Yeah, you bring up great points. I think, you know, I like the point you brought up about like, hey, people, they don't want to ask. They either don't know, they don't want to look like, you alluded to this, they don't want to embarrass themselves. They don't want to seem like they don't know. And I think people just can't be scared. If you're amongst friends, family, or people you've known, that care about you and you care about them, there should be unfettered access. You shouldn't have to be afraid to mention it. And I think the more open you are with the people you care about, that's true friendship, right? And
Right.
I agree with you in the sense that, asking for mentors or getting mentors, that's good. And that's always helpful. And I'm a big advocate for that, as I am a mentor to many just like yourself.
Right.
But I also think, you know, don't wait. If you can't get a mentor, don't let that be the roadblock for you
Right.
to
Yeah,
be able to
exactly.
start. But
Exactly.
you keep moving. Like, even if you don't know, ask. And yeah, maybe your friends or your circle may or may not know. You could observe them and see what they're doing. But it's good to bounce feedback off friends, because they'll tell you, most of them, they'll tell you the truth. Yes, there's people that'll be hopeful, and this is a little bit off the wall, but they'll be like, some people may not want to say anything. They want to see you fail. Most friends
That's
don't
very
want to
true.
you do that, right? But trust, I mean, especially the ones you've known for a long time. And I like, and the other point you mentioned was, okay, the resourcing, look in the mirror and ask. I always tell people, like, ask, like, what, okay, if am I doing enough here? Yes, people could read a book, people could read resources and they could recite it. That doesn't mean they're doing it, right? So you're looking at other people's successes and failures, right? Wouldn't you agree? And recite it, but you also want to say, like, what am I doing? What you're reading should inspire. Even listening to us right now should inspire people to not just continue to move forward and not quit or to not be resourceful, but to say, okay, what else can I do? Am I doing enough? Right. So,
Right.
what's your thoughts on what they should do, moving forward? So, if they're having this challenge, this struggle, what do you think they should look at
Yeah.
and continue?
I heard somewhere that, you know, you have everything you ever want on the other side, just as long as you ask, and I think that, if you're kind of stuck and I don't have that many resources. I think that's the big part of it is the fact that you think that you don't, but you never really explored that facet of your life or, even tried. Just ask questions, like, hey, I'm looking to do this. Do you know anybody that might help me out? Or can you point me in the right directions? I always say that. Can you point me in the right direction? I'm very humble in my approach, and it's always like I don't know something, and I'm okay saying that I don't know it. So I'm asking for help. Can you put me in the right direction to find somebody, put me out in front of somebody that might know somebody? Because you never know. There's like what 6 degrees separation of knowing a certain person, right, in the world. So I mean, if you're just one or two away, why not three or four, right? So just getting into that getting that ball rolling will help. Just get you on the right track, and one person will lead you to another person. That connection will lead to another connection, and it's just what else can I also provide is probably a big thing. Like, what can I provide for this person? Give value to them because I hope that they give value to me, and that whole karmic, balance between like giving and taking, right? So, what can I bring? What can I give to the table? What can I do for this person in order to, make their life better, make, my life better? And it kind of just all works out. So,
Yeah, and you know what, you just triggered a memory for me, right? A lot of people are afraid to ask, right? It's not, as like you mentioned earlier, like I remember I was consulting and talking to some of these leaders, and they're like, I don't want to show my team that I really don't know this, or I'm not. I'm
right,
like, ask for help. That's what the definition of a team is, right? Everyone's gonna pick each other up. Everyone will support you. No one's gonna frown on you. That's not helpful, right? There's, the team. Everyone needs to be successful. I think part of it that in my assessment of a lot of people, a lot of different organizations, small startups all the way down to publicly traded companies, is people don't want to look bad. They don't want to get judged because there's this
right,
club that they're all part of or they think they're a part of. Yeah, some people tend to think that exists. Some people tend to, but I say, who cares? Don't
right.
would you
Yes,
rather fail? Don't feel like you're gonna get judged, right? Ask, and you're not no one's gonna frown on that. Now, I would also say one thing, you know, why I love having you on right now is because you yourself have done your own businesses. You're running your own stuff. You're doing multiple things. You're very energy, your vibe, your exterior stuff that you do with your activities. You've got so much going on, but you're able to balance. You're able to be resourceful. That's the key message here, right? We want to
right.
tell folks that are listening on, right? It's like you're resourceful. Can you just kind of tap into your resourcefulness? Right. Let's talk about you're doing things, extracurricular stuff, business,
Right.
life,
I
right?
think here's this little story that I probably kind of ties it all in. I know that I have my daughter who was trying to do camp one time, and there was just some logistical errors where the admin didn't get the note, and she was supposed to be in it. We get to the camp thinking that we're gonna be in it, and then basically like they don't have her name on the list. And so I knew that the owner was a friend, was my friend's, and we don't know each other. Like the sister and I don't know each other. And I was just like, "Hey, do you know so and so?" And she was like, "Are you from this company?" And I was like, "Yep." Right there and then she just smiled and was like, "She can come back." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool." It's one of those things. It's like I just asked a question. "Hey, do you know so and so?" And it wasn't like, "Hey, can you get me in?" This and that. I was just literally just asking a question and seeing if that resonated with her, or and it would hopefully get us in, obviously. But it's just one of those things where it's like I'm just asking questions, and if I can ask the right questions, it's probably going to lead me to a better answer. It's not just just because I know that person, but if I didn't ask, we would have, been turned away, and it would just been like, oh man, we kind of just wasted our day. She would have just went home, and we would have just, taken that ride to the facility, and it would have been a different outcome, obviously. So, I mean, just, I think providing yourself and allowing yourself to put yourself out there, like the resources is you are the resource. You just have to figure out how to connect to the other ones that are resourceful as well. So, you be resourceful, when it comes down to it. Be resourceful in the fact that, like, you don't know everything, you don't have everything. So connect yourself with those people, connect yourself with those, assets that might get you to where you want to go. Right. So just put yourself out there, and, you be what you want. Right. You
Yeah.
take initiative.
Yeah. And I think it's interconnecting with everybody, right? You
Right.
brought up a great point. I love what you did, because what you did is you also showed your daughter what? Persistent persistence, no
I,
quit.
I told her, hey, your network is your net worth. So make as many friends as you can. Be that person, see what you can do for them. And, hopefully it turns out good for you later. And that's all I can really say, is just for them, is as they're growing up and they're understanding that, like, dad knows this many people, or what have you. Like, the one thing they always tell me is like, dad, do you know that person? And I always say like, nah, I don't. And then they're just like, they're like, I think you do. And I was like, nah, I don't. And he goes, then how come he like head nodded you or something like that? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, they just, they just want to know, like, hey, what's up? Like, kind of thing.
Well, what I would say is it's all energy too, right? Like,
Right.
with the life and your experiences you've had. I mean, obviously you're not new to life, right? You're very seasoned. You
Oh,
understand.
you
You
can
know
tell.
how
You
to
can tell.
talk to people. You know how to hustle, right? But this wasn't a hustle move. It was just more
No.
ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get a response. It's what
Yeah.
I tell everybody. If you want to win the lottery, you got to buy the ticket, right?
Right.
If you buy the ticket, you're not giving yourself a chance.
Right.
So
Closed mouths don't get fed, man. Closed mouths don't get
exactly.
fed.
But you gotta be, then we're hungry. And that's the
Right.
point here, right? And I
Right.
think, for the audience listening, in closing, be resourceful. Don't be afraid of looking a certain way. Don't feel like you're good, because shame on you if you don't ask the questions, because you're just hurting
Right.
yourself. And I
Exactly.
think from, what
Exactly.
you've heard here, and you listen to us here, is be resourceful, ask us questions. And I also say, I think for you and I, please, guys listening, send us a message here. We'd love to have you ask us questions, give us topics to talk about. This is, again, wisdom, wealth, winning, right? Wisdom to overcome, wealth of knowledge and friendship, winning those inner battles. We want to make sure that we care. We want to show you guys a lot of this. So,
Yeah.
but thank you again. I appreciate
No,
you.
thank you.
Really
Thank you,
love you,
brother.
brother. And
I
we'll
love you.
going on this. Have a good night.
Bye, brother.